Now, if you could tell me your full name and your title or what you do now.
Okay. My name is Noro Andrianamanalina. I'm Associate Director of a mentoring program at the University of Minnesota. It's the President's Mentor Program, and Multicultural Undergraduate Summer Research Program. So where we take 25 to 30 students every summer, and they do research with faculty throughout the university, and these students come from all over the country. So.
And what year did you graduate from Augsburg College?
I graduated in 1991.
Okay, and so you spent the previous 4 years here?
Yes, started my freshman in '87. Yeah.
And what was your major?
I majored in English and religion, and then I started a major in elementary education during weekend college, but then instead I just decided to do a master's in curriculum and instruction at Minnesota State University, Mankato. So never finished the third major, just decided to go get a master's instead. So English and religion, yeah.
And what activities did you participate in while here at Augsburg?
I participated primarily in the Pan-Afrikan Student Union, and also participated in activities with the International Student Association. I'm originally from Madagascar, and so also belong to the International Student Association as well as the Pan-Afrikan Student Union. Did a lot of things on and off campus, but primarily I'd say I was an officer in the Pan-Afrikan Student Union, and enjoyed doing that.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and get into the meat of the questions that I have for you. Okay. Well, as a black student here at Augsburg, what was your overall experience here?
My experience was very positive. I would never have traded what I experienced here for any other experience at any other university. I came here with the purpose to learn. I wanted a small private liberal arts college, but I never realized how much more I would actually get from that kind of education. I come from a very religious Lutheran background, so the values and the morals that the school wanted to impart on their students, that fit very well with my own family and cultural upbringing. So that fit very well, and I enjoyed Augsburg because of that. The first year I worked with campus ministry, and at that time we still didn't have a chapel, so the services were held in the Commons, Kirkowski Commons, I think it's called, upstairs. East Commons, okay. So I got involved with campus ministry, and then the second year, my sophomore year, that's when I got more involved with the Pan-Afrikan Student Union. I met Ms. Margaret Anita Gay Hawthrone, and she got me involved in so many things. And that's really kind of when my life at Augsburg started, was my sophomore year, when I got to know the campus a little bit, and I met Ms. Hawthrone, I met other African and African American students, and just got involved. I lived off campus. That was probably the only thing that I regret, was I lived off campus, so I had to commute. But financial circumstances mandated that I live off campus with my family. But besides that, I had a very positive, full experience. Yeah.
Can you give me some examples of your positive full experience?
Yeah. I remember just a very supportive community here. We would hang out anywhere. Of course, in Ms. Hawthorne's office, at that time it was called, in my sophomore year, it was still called the Black Student Union and the Black Student Affairs. And I think it was in my junior year when we changed it to the Pan-African Student Union. And for a certain amount of time, we were in Memorial Hall, in a very small office where they put Ms. Hawthorne, and she told them that she needed a bigger space because she couldn't share her office with the students, and we didn't have a hangout place. And so they moved her office to the house on 21st Avenue, and the brick house. And so then we were able to hang out there. But just I remember a lot of talking and discussions and hanging out and planning activities and just enjoying the environment. We just had a wonderful supportive community. We used to eat downstairs in Murphy Place, eat in Ms. Hawthorne's office or out in the lobby there. We used to hang out in the lobby, the commuter lounge area over there. So it was a lot of support from one another, from the students, a lot of support from Ms. Hawthorne. She really made this place a home for us. Whether it was academic advising or talks on relationships, talks on career planning, talks on graduate and professional careers. We had everything. We really didn't need to go anywhere else. Everything was here. We wanted a family we could talk to. The black students were here. You wanted a professional opinion, Ms. Hawthorne was there. You wanted a personal opinion, Ms. Hawthorne was there. So it was everything you could ever want right at your fingertips. And that's what Augsburg was, and I hope still is for the students who are here now.
Okay. Now, you were here, and what about, you talked about how it was a family atmosphere and how Miss Anita brought you into this. Can you give me some more in-depth of what did the Black Student Union then do for you? How did it grab you, and how did she grab you too?
Yeah, the Pan-African Student Union or Black Student Union, it was originally called, provided a way for us, and I think I could speak for my other peers because we felt pretty much the same, that this is a predominantly white campus. And some of the students who come here, white students, probably haven't interacted much with people from diverse backgrounds. And the union, the Pan-African Student Union, was a way for us to express our culture and our history and our heritage so that we felt we belonged. That's one thing. I think that's one purpose of the program, is for Pan-African students to have a place at Augsburg. But secondly, it's also to educate the broader community about African people. So the function is twofold. And Ms. Hawthorne and I have talked about that quite often, that some people think that cultural programs or multicultural departments or programs only exist to serve that particular community, the African or the Chicano or whatever. But actually, it also serves the larger community because it enriches their experience at the university, so that students from rural Minnesota who probably haven't had a lot of opportunities to interact or learn about other cultures and other contributions of people that make up the United States or the world, that those people leave Augsburg with a much more rounded out education and experience. So I think that the Black Student Union, the Pan-African Student Union, drew me because, one, I wanted to identify with my culture, with my people. I wanted a place where I could just be and talk about issues that maybe people from other cultures may not understand, talk about feelings that I'm experiencing that other students may not understand, but maybe people who are of the same culture, history, or similar can understand what I'm talking about and give me the support I need for that particular experience. So I wanted that, and I wanted to teach others the wider Augsburg community about who we are as a people, so that they didn't think that, oh, this is all just a political plot or whatever, but we are humans. These are African people with a history, their own culture, and they're here to stay. So we're not something you can just ignore, but get to know us, know that we're here, know that we are in the world. We're at Augsburg, and you're gonna have to deal with us wherever you go. So that's one of the main reasons why I got involved.
And how did the Black Student Union help? Did it help you with your transition into the college atmosphere?
Yes, it did. It helped me because for one, it didn't make me feel alone. And unless you've been in a situation where you're outnumbered, where you are the minority in a group, you can be a white person and you can be the only person in a predominantly, Asian or Black meeting, for instance, and you are going to feel different because of the situation that you're in. So unless you're a person of color at Augsburg, you're not really going to understand what it's like to need a program or a place where you don't always feel like you're outnumbered, where you don't always feel like you're being stared at or expected to perform in a certain way, that you can, and if you feel that, you can talk about that with other people who go through the same situation. So the Black Student Union allowed me to understand that I wasn't alone, that there were other students who had to go through not only the college transition, but I had come from Madagascar, where it's predominantly African, Black African, and to have to adjust not only to college but to a predominantly white institution was difficult. I grew up, having Black teachers as role models and going to school with, kids who looked like me, and so the Black Student Union allowed me to talk, to other African students from Africa who had the same experience, and they were not only adjusting to college, they were adjusting to the culture as well. So that really helped a lot, to talk about it with other people, to have something in common. You can talk about, how things were at home and how things are now here, that type of thing. Or we could talk to African American students who also grew up in a predominantly African American environment, who probably had African American teachers, and they also had to do the transition between college and culture. So the Black Student Union allowed me to share my experiences, and I was strengthened. I mean, people said, this is normal, don't worry, in time you'll get used to the environment, and we're here for you. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I want to know more about the benefits of you being a BSU member. And, you talked a little bit about what that provided for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like any opposition here on campus for you as a Black student?
Any opposition? Well, I'm sure that there were probably certain events and activities that we wanted to do that weren't funded at the level that we wanted it to, and it seemed that I always felt like money was always an issue when it came to, the center or the union, that for some reason we never fully had all the money that we needed, all the support that we needed to do the kinds of programming, like to take more students to the Pan-Afrikan conference, or to put on a major cultural event at the end of the year. I just didn't really feel like the money was there. And Ms. Hawthorne did a lot with the little money that she had, but I know that you always have to be careful with how you work with your budget, because that may affect next year's budget or something like that. So I always felt like we just never had enough financial support, but we had a lot of things that we wanted to accomplish. I mean, there were times we thought about traveling, and promoting things to other campuses, and so we had a lot of plans, but we just always went back to, well, how are you going to fund that, And so, so funding is one thing that I really would like to see the college, if you are devoted to diversity and committed to, supporting each program, that you give programs enough money so that they could make an impact on campus for the university, for the college-wide, or for the members. I don't think there was any other type of resistance or opposition. Definitely nothing in terms of hate mails or anything like that for our program. So funding was the main problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, for those programs that you really wanted to do, how did you pass the funding issue?
Well, we probably just had a lot of in-house donation. For instance, I think it was in September of 1990, must have been September of 1990, where we wanted to have just a gathering, it's different from like the homecoming banquet that we have, but some of us upperclassmen just wanted to get together and eat and just, kick back. But then we also wanted to have some really serious political conversations with elders. And so I decided to host a dinner at my place. I lived in St. Paul, and my dad is he's a minister, but he's also an African politician. And he decided, that he would be willing to be the elder to talk to the African and African American students about politics. And my mom cooked, and I cooked, and we just hung out at my place. And so in a way, my parents hosted that gathering where we could all kind of like sit in a group on the floor or whatever in our living room and talk to my dad about how he saw the future of African people. And it was just a wonderful discussion while we had, traditional African food. So, and then afterwards we went out to the movies. So, I mean, some things we just did, off campus, because that was, the only way we could do it. We weren't gonna ask for $100 of, chicken wings and whatever. Sometimes we just had, people come up with ideas, or we would throw in our own resources. So we just did them. Yeah.
Okay. That's good information.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think the value is of having a BSU, a Black Student Union, or pass-through here at Augsburg for the Black students?
For the Black students?
Or for the whole community?
For the whole community, yeah. The value is that you have an opportunity to learn about who you are. Education is a process. It's not a final goal, like, oh, I got my degree now, and so I'm educated. Education is about learning who you are, what you are, and how that fits into the world around you and the people around you. And certainly people would say, well, what's the use of having all these separate cultural programs or organizations? And for me, it's important because we have different histories. You can't deny that. America is a country where you have diversity of people, of cultures, of histories, and then you're trying to make it this one nation. You have to ask yourself, what is an American? Well, an American can mean different things. But having the BSU or the PASU, the Asian Center, the Chicano Latino, is about recognition, acknowledgement, and respect that there are groups of people who are here, and they want to make sure that they are not forgotten or not completely assimilated to the point where they don't remember their history, their culture, who they are. America is a land of immigrants, and I strongly believe that we have the right to maintain who we are and to strengthen and to celebrate and to teach about who we are, just as like the majority culture teaches everybody about who they are in terms of European history and how they got here and all of that. Why do we not have the right to do that? So those programs are important to the students if they want to know more about where they come from, who they are, about other students of the same or similar cultural backgrounds. And it also says something about the school, that Augsburg recognizes the diversity of the world, and that Augsburg can be a microcosm of the globe. I think if you try to lump all the the different groups and just say, well, might call them minority affairs or multicultural affairs, then you don't really look at the richness and uniqueness of each culture. It's like saying y'all are the same, and anybody who knows anything about history knows that we are not all the same, that we may have similar experiences of certain themes that transcend, but we're not the same people, and we have different cultures and values. So it's very important. What I don't want is for any of the programs to be divisive. That this is a community, this is a learning community, and we can learn from one another. And that's what I hope will continue. That's what happened in the days. I mean, Ms. Hawthrone made it clear that the BSU or the PASU was a part of Augsburg, that it wasn't separate. Because anything that is seemed marginal or separate will soon be washed out. But she made sure that the students were heard, the African students were heard, that the black students were seen, because we are Augsburg. And so we want to make sure that these programs are not divisive, they're very integrated, that they stay integrated, and that it also integrates others into the community, so that we don't divide other people out and say it's we and them. So that's what I see. It's a community building of a diverse people.
Okay. Now I would like us to move into Anita Gay Hawthrone. You knew her very well. And I would like you, if you could, to tell me about your relationship with her and a little bit about what she stood for, and especially on the small Lutheran campus.
So Lutheran, yeah.
And how she touched your life also.
Yeah. She was like my second mother. We both came at Augsburg at the same time in 1987, but I really didn't get to know her well until she asked me if I wanted to work for her during the summer of 88. So my first summer at Augsburg, she needed help in her office, and she always tried to at least have one African and one African American working in her office. So that summer of 1988 was the summer actually I met Brother Joe. And Ms. Hawthrone was very ill that summer of 1988. And so she pretty much just introduced me to her office and told me, what things she needed done and the help she needed. But then all of a sudden she was hospitalized for about a month and a half, and there was no one there to help run the office except myself and maybe one other student. But then Brother Joe came back almost every day and just visited with us. So he and I became good friends, and we became close, and he pretty much hung out that summer to help us out, just because he wanted to help us out with anything in the office. So Ms. Hawthorne and I got to know each other well that summer 1988 when she came back from being ill, and she asked me if I wanted to work for her, continue working for her in the fall of '88 for my sophomore year, and working with her in the office. Then I started getting to know other African American students, started working on the Black Student Union events, and I just got drawn in, you know. I mean, I really enjoyed, and then there were times when I wasn't even working, you know, hourly. I just was there. I was just there. I just hung out, and because I was a commuter, I didn't have, you know, a place on campus where I could crash or whatever. So I just used to go to Southern's office and wait for my ride to come or whatever, and just, you know, I was just there all the time. And she became a second mother to me. I mean, I have a mother. My mother's still living, and we're very close. But Ms. Hawthorne was a different kind of mother because she's a professional. My mother is a housewife, and I needed a different type of mentoring role model. One person cannot fit all of our needs. So Ms. Hawthorne met my needs of having a professional woman as a role model, and she is my very first female mentor. And we talked about everything. She was the kind of person that made you believe in anything. I mean, if you wanted to be, you know, Secretary General of the United Nations, she would, you know, make you feel like you could do that. I mean, she was just someone who just, you know, she was so positive about everything. I mean, there wasn't anything that she couldn't, you know, solve or help you through. And she was just, you know, the light of my life. Everything just revolved around her, you know, at this campus. I really look at her and my mom as the two people that raised me, you know, that made me who I am today. I would have been a very different person if I had not had Ms. Hawthorne in my life. She impacted me in ways that I don't think anyone could understand. I still, you know, I think about, I don't know that a day doesn't go by that I don't think about her in terms of what would she say about this? What would, you know, Ms. Hawthorne say about that? You know, what would she recommend I...
Where you left off.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So I was saying, yeah. So she helped shape my life, all the dreams I had, for me to pursue my master's and then my doctorate. And even when I was working on my doctorate, it's ironic that I ended up living next door to her. That was really amazing, because maybe God knew that I would need a mother figure during the hardest period of my graduate education, and you know, put one right next to me, because my mom lives in Switzerland, and so whenever I needed quick advice, or, you know, just to vent or to do anything, that Ms. Hawthorne was there. So as an alum, she even helped me at that stage of my life when I was already moving on to the next step. But so her presence on this campus will forever, you know, change the way I am. I mean, you know, Ms. Hawthorne is Augsburg. I mean, there's just no way that I can separate her from my experience here. And I learned a lot from her, more than I think I would have learned in the classrooms. She had life experience. She was so wise, very caring, nurturing, intelligent. I mean, she just had everything, one package. And there'll never be another Anita Gay Hawthrone, obviously. But every time I question, you know, why she was taken at a young age, the only, you know, thing that comforts me is that she gave so much of herself that she would expect us to do the same for others. that she prepared us, seasoned us enough. I knew her for 11 years. You know, how many people are that lucky to know someone like her for 11 years? And she seasoned me enough now to, to move on and do the same for others, what she did for me. And so that comforts me every day, but it hasn't been easy. I don't know if it'll ever be easy to accept that she's not physically here, because I miss just running to her. I used to be bare feet sometimes, just walking down, down the stairs and running into her office, and she left a wonderful legacy that we have to carry, and I'm very fortunate to have had her in my life. That's it.
I have another question.
Okay.
Before I move to that question, just know you'll be able to meet her again, huh?
Yeah. I look forward to that, actually. That there were times in my life if I wasn't feeling too well, or you get into a near accident or something and you wonder, wow, what if I pass on, I really don't worry so much about it as I used to before she passed on. Because I know that, she kind of paved the way, and I know it's really strange, but I just feel that, if any of us, her loved ones, are next, to go, we don't know what will happen, God only knows, but I'm just not that afraid anymore, because, I have those who are still with me in this life, and I have her waiting for me in the next life. So I've actually, stopped fearing death, because I know that I'll see her again, and she's waiting for me. So that has been a wonderful comfort.
Okay. Now, nextly, before we end, what advice would you give to upcoming students, current students, or prospective students?
If you made the decision to come to Augsburg, you have made a very good decision, because Augsburg is the kind of school that will allow you to explore who you are, and will provide a very supportive environment for you to do that. Whether through Brother Joe or anyone in the position of leadership in the Pan-African Student Services, the service will always be here for you. Hopefully will always be here for you, where you can have academic knowledge, but also a nurturing, supportive environment where you can hopefully learn more than just academics. That you will know how to have interpersonal skills, how to relate to people. Because what it takes to succeed in life isn't just book smarts. You're smart because you made it to college. You've made it that far. And so everybody in college, they are college material. But what's going to make you a step above the rest is how you learn to incorporate everything that the college offers, how you learn from other people that you will not find in a book. The knowledge and wisdom that your peers, the upperclassmen, the director, Brother Joe, or others would provide you. That's the full experience that I was talking about. That yes, I graduated with a, whatever GPA, but that's not really what made me happy and full at Augsburg. What really made me happy and full at Augsburg was the various resources that were provided for me. through Ms. Hawthorne, through Brother Joe, because he was a regular part of the office, and it is fitting and right that he is in that position now, because we all learned together, and so he is a wonderful asset to the college, and you will learn a lot from the resources here in a small college environment. If you are spiritual, if you believe in God, if you are religious and you want that type of community, Augsburg is that. If you are not, but you are looking for other things, you want to explore who you are, Augsburg is that as well. So I would send my children here. That's how strongly I feel. Because there is, at least from what I've known, there is recognition of diversity here, and we need more people to support that. So we need more people of non-European descent to come to Augsburg, because Ms. Hawthorne has established a wonderful legacy that there is a place here for black people. She worked, literally till she died, to make sure that we never felt like strangers in this country and in this place. And she made a name for us, she made a space for us, and we need to claim that and carry out what she envisioned for us, that we would succeed at this place, at this time, and we would pass on the tradition of success for African peoples to our children. So I would definitely recommend Augsburg, most definitely.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Good questions.